I want to get on to the fund in a moment, but actually just want to start with the news we had this morning on the U.S.-China trade talks, and sort of stepping back a bit where you sit running a sort of Pan-Asian, particularly Southeast Asian business from Kuala Lumpur and Malaysia. What's the view been from Southeast Asia of the U.S.-China trade spat? Is it an opportunity for some of the smaller Asian nations, or is it a headwind? What's the view been?
It's hard to say. It's kind of neutral in my view, in that there are definitely opportunities for production to be moved down to our part of the world. Also, there's downside because China obviously is a big spender in our part of the world. But I think it's a good opportunity. I think why waste a crisis? And I think Southeast Asian businesses are preparing. But I would say it's fairly neutral at the moment.
And in terms of the airline business in the region at the moment, what are the latest trends? Have you seen any slowdown from the slowdown in growth from the trade?
No, we saw a little bit of a slowdown from China. For a couple of weeks, but it's come back very strongly. We're in a nice part of the segment that when things get a bit tougher, people look at their wallets and come down to the low-cost market. So our loads are very strong for the first quarter, and demand is holding up very well.
Talk to us about the new fund that you're launching. What sort of areas are you focused in trying to help entrepreneurs with? What are the growth areas in Southeast Asia?
So, you know, when you look at this whole tech world, a lot of them spend huge amounts of money acquiring customers. What I'm trying to do is move AirAsia away from just being an airline into a travel technology company. We have some of the biggest platforms in AirAsia through airasia.com and our loyalty program, Big Loyalty. So we're looking at companies that can use our data, add value to our bottom line by doing partnerships and investing in companies, on top of helping us to make our customers happier through technology and reducing our cost using IoT. So those three buckets.
And one of the areas I noticed your focus on is payments and payment technology. Is that a particularly big opportunity in Asia because the banking infrastructure was not as developed in the first place?
Yeah, spot on. I think there's a huge opportunity. So we see a lot of added costs for our travelers in terms of exchange rates and cost of payment. But on top of that, we see the remittance business, of which most of our customers use, and lending business. It's very hard to get working capital loans. So we believe there's a huge opportunity for us. And with the data we have such high resolution on data, we'll be able to provide good rates and good data. So it's really trying to move away from being an airline. I mean, we make money from our airline and we'll continue to do so, but build businesses that could rely on it. Not too dissimilar from Amazon or any other company that has moved from selling books into using their platform to deliver more value to its shareholders.
The idea of creating a fund to back startups in these areas, as opposed to partnering with existing big global companies, whether it's in bookings or leisure or payments. Obviously, that was an active decision, and so why that way?
Yeah, I started off. We had a huge joint venture with Expedia, which we recently sold at a huge profit. But with the big companies, we're always going to be the junior partner in those relationships, and we felt better to work with smaller startups that could use us more and also value our data more than just taking the choice parts of our business.
But also where you can throw your weight around a little bit more and set the terms?
Well, maybe. But partnership is about equality.
Interested to hear what you say about what the DNA of a successful entrepreneur is in Southeast Asia versus, say, in America, where I know you spend a lot of time, and Europe, where you spend a lot. Is there a difference or not?
No, I don't think fundamentally there's a difference. I think actually there's more drive. Because it's harder to be an entrepreneur in our part of the world. I think the big disadvantage and the advantage for us is, I just came back from a speech at Harvard in Silicon Valley where there's such deep capital provided. While to a small businessman or an entrepreneur in Southeast Asia, it's much harder to get it. So I think the quality is very high, the work ethos is very good, and it's an advantage for us because there's no real established capital flows. So deal flow is good for us.
I want to just quickly come back to AirAsia. And Boeing hit an all-time high, the stock price last week, on that day, off the back of winning a big order from British Airways after Airbus cancelled its A380 project. Where do you stand at the moment in terms of preference between the two or any others?
Well, we're Airbus's largest customer. We've bought over 600 aircraft. So, but Boeing, the CEO is a very good friend of mine. Kevin, he sold me lots of engines. We're very GE orientated, and they make great planes, and they're constantly talking to us. So never say never, but we have been predominantly Airbus at this point.